Alright guys, it's your boy Jacob Pearson coming back to you with yet another deck tech for the Dev-astation event. So today we'll be taking a look at Ser Boltyn, Breaker of Dawn. This is a very heavily red and yellow line deck, trying to be as aggro as possible to hopefully cheese some wins over my fellow developers. So the key components of this deck is we're just looking to play a charge attack. We play 27 in the deck. Hopefully we can start each and one of our turns with playing a charge card, putting one of the other cards into our soul, and then continuing on with our attacks. So we have lots of different ways of getting go again, not only just with Ser Boltyn's effect, but also things like Razor Reflex, cards with built-in go again such as Enlightened Strike, and the 9 take flights that the deck plays. Something to note with this deck as well, we play a lot of utility blues, and I mean a lot. A lot of the cards we're sideboarding out in a lot of our matchups to get a clean 60 cards is all of these utility blues that you see listed here. So our impenetrable beliefs, our snags, our shunts, our blue plunder runs. These cards are primarily in the deck for different matchups. So most of our sideboarding actually happens in our blues, which you don't see happen in many decks, often the resource cards. And a lot of classic constructor decks are the only cards that typically stay in from game to game. So this deck's a little bit different in that regard. Now, for the threats that we just play all the premium charge attacks that we possibly can. So we play our 9 Bolt of Courages, we play our 9 Take Flights, we play a bunch of Express Lightnings. Just the cards that really reward you for charging a card this turn. Obviously, our friend Snatch from Welcome to Wraith says hello, and we have Bolt of Courage as its replacement. Some interesting deck choices came up because of this card here, Dev-astation. Now, most people will think of this card and think of the combo with the Centauri Sabers and Courage of Bladehold. However, in this deck, it's just a very high value card. That's why we play so many light cards in this deck, where there might be some better options, such as Snatch over this Red Illuminate. But the reason why we edge Red Illuminate over Snatch is because it's a light card, meaning that if we hit with our Raiden, we're more likely to get the effect off. And this is very important in some matchups, especially versus Chain. If we miss versus Chain on our Dev-astation triggers, that 1 or 2 life can be the difference of winning or losing the game. Additionally, our other sort of flex cards, or utility cards as they were, are these cards here, our defense reaction suite, so our red Sink Below, our red Fate the Scenes, and our red Sigil of Solaces. So these cards can be very good in matchups where we're looking to trade damage, because if we are the aggressor and we have a defense reaction in our hand, it's very easy just to put that card into our soul and then continue on as normal. As for the overall game plan, like I said at the beginning, we're just a very heavy aggro decks. We're just looking to try and pump out as much damage as we can possible from turn to turn. Now, some powerful plays are just putting a V of the Vanguard or Dev-astation in the arsenal, waiting for some extra attacks or some way of being able to utilize the plus along the combat chain. So we have cards like Valiant Thrust, which we play 9 of, that are very good at doing this, just big attacks that we can go like feed the Vanguard, give it go again with Ser Boltyn, attack with Raiden, give it go again with Ser Boltyn, finish the chain with a nice Valiant Thrust, maybe a Razor Reflex and an Illuminate if we're thinking a little bit more spicy. But just those kinds of lines are very powerful. So these cards are very good to arsenal and just set up those big turns for. Very strong deck, a deck it's pretty face up, however it's able to pump a lot of damage. Strong matchups against the decks that obviously feature a lot of attack action cards, such as Bravo, where they often play a lot of attack blues, and they're often wanting to block with those as well. And even stuff like Katsu, where they play a lot of those combo attack actions that can still buff your attacks. Even though Flick Flackers can be a bit of a pain playing this deck, but this deck typically does pretty well into that. Now, the decks that I really don't want to face with Ser Boltyn is probably Chain, which is why we have these blue Impenetrable Beliefs and these blue Snags and these blue Plunder Runs in the sideboard. These blues are very important in that matchup, making our Honor Hits matter, Snag for taking out those nasty Rift Bites, and Impenetrable Belief just being a blue that blocks for 4 in that matchup is very strong. And also playing more blues in that matchup means that we're consistently able to attack with our 1-cost attack actions, like being able to attack with a V the Vanguard into a Take Flight, into a Valiant Thrust. Very strong line that we can do off of one resource card. So that's some of the lines we're looking for. Now, if you're looking to play this deck on a bit more of a budget, I have a few options for you. The first one is, instead of Fiendal Spring Tunic, this card is probably the most important card that you'd probably look at replacing, because the extra resource that it gives Boltyn means that Boltyn often doesn't have to pitch a resource card when it's got a Tunic counter, because it's able to start the turn with like a V the Vanguard, follow it with Raiden, and then possibly an Express Landing or a Bolt of Courage or something like that. It's very, very strong. However, you can play Vest of the First Fist, kind of replaces that on that big turn where you want to hit. You get your extra resources and continue with your Valiant Thrusts and such. However, you would need to cut the shunts. Shunts are basically unplayable in this deck without Tunic, as you have to dedicate a whole card to them always. Not great. The second card we can look at replacing is Braveforge Braces. Now, this card doesn't really do a lot in this deck. Occasionally, you're able to pump it on an Illumina Ascension turn using its effect. It's mostly there as just a block 2. Easily replaceable with Stubby Hammers, believe it or not, is a very strong card in this deck. We have a lot of base power, 3 or less, or Braces of Belief. Again, looking at another legendary Skullcap. Again, it's just there for the block 2. Nothing too fancy here. I would probably just look at playing Talismanic Lens for those important draw triggers or Lumina turns. Alternatively, if you just want a block piece, play Ironrot Helm. Now, Snag. Snag is just here as a sideboard card for Chain. You can replace it with any other blue, more aggressive cards, more defense reactions, very flexible slot. E-Strike, I almost played Red Cross the Line over E-Strike, even though E-Strike is very strong with Boltyn, just because I wanted to get that 30 cards number for charge. In fact, I almost had it in this list before this list was finalized. E-Strike is a little bit more powerful, and I wanted to maximize my power turns as much as possible. But yeah, that's the deck list, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you in game during the Dev-astation tournament.